Picture a factory floor running in total darkness. No human workers, no shifts, just relentless AI-driven machines manufacturing complex goods at unprecedented speed. As autonomous systems take over physical and digital labor, the marginal cost to produce nearly everything, from smartphones to software, collapses. It drops steadily toward the raw cost of energy and materials. This leads to a popular theory in Silicon Valley. When things cost almost nothing to make, we won't need to ration them by price. Eventually, money itself becomes completely redundant. But that assumption contains two massive economic blind spots. Whether we transition to a post-money society isn't actually determined by the capability of the robots. It is determined by political choices about distribution. Hyper-productive technology makes the end of money technically possible on the supply side, but it guarantees absolutely nothing about what the average person will actually experience. To test how this transition might actually play out, researchers built a conditional dynamical model. It simulates the global aggregate economy on a quarterly grid from 2025 to the year 2100. The core metric of this model is the Money Relevance Index, or MRI. It measures the share of consumed value still gated by money. It runs from 1.0, where everything is bought, like today, down towards 0, where nothing scarce is left to ration. The model evaluates this index by tracking 3 independent variables: when work decouples from income, when human survival decouples from money, and when value decouples from money. Tracking these variables exposes the first major flaw in the tech industry assumption. Cost is not the same as price. It also exposes the second blind spot. Production is entirely separate from distribution. To predict if money actually stops mattering, we have to look past what it costs a machine to build a product and measure the exact mechanism people will use to survive and claim those goods. Let's examine how that first flaw plays out when we simulate the collapse of manufacturing costs. This chart tracks marginal cost and consumer prices. The black line shows actual production costs plummeting nearly to 0, but the red dashed line shows consumer prices under concentrated ownership holding high. This distance is the monopoly wedge. We already see this mechanism in digital markets. Software and media have near 0 marginal cost to replicate, yet they are strictly gated behind subscriptions and paywalls. Compare that to a distributed regime, the abundance commons, where broad capital ownership and public provision force the market price to match the actual falling cost of the goods. Zero-cost production alone does not make things free. Without aggressive distribution policies, falling costs just increase the profit margin, transferring the entire economic surplus directly to the asset owners. This brings us to the second, much more severe flaw. If prices remain artificially high, people still need a way to pay for them, which today means trading human labor for wages. This chart illustrates the labor share of total income as automation scales. Today, human labor accounts for over 50% of income. As AI takes over, these lines project that share collapsing to a microscopic 3% residue by 2070. Notice this collapse happens across every fast technology scenario. Specific economic policies do not stop it. The technology alone guarantees that human work will completely cease to be a viable mechanism for generating income for the average citizen. This creates a stark economic paradox. The AI factories are producing infinite goods on the supply side, but the public has lost its primary mechanism for earning the claims to buy them. If human wages vanish entirely, while consumer prices are artificially sustained by corporate monopolies, society inevitably hits an absolute economic wall. Total abundance exists, but the vast majority of people are locked out of accessing it. To observe how society resolves this tension, the model runs 2 distinct geopolitical simulations. Both scenarios use the exact same robots, the same automation midpoint, and the same technological speed. The first regime is the abundance commons. This structure relies on broad capital ownership and implements a high ceiling for the free public provision of essential goods. This chart measures our Money Relevance Index over time. Under the abundance commons, the green line drops steeply, crossing the demonetization threshold by 2056. In this simulation, the economic surplus created by automation flows directly to the people. Because basic survival no longer requires purchasing power, money fades into the background of daily life. The second regime is techno-feudalism. This features heavily concentrated ownership. Under this regime, the red line plateaus at roughly 0.51. Money never crosses the demonetization threshold. The researchers classify this outcome as a dependency dystopia. The AI is so productive that median living standards do rise in absolute terms, but citizens must continually pay rentier prices to access the abundance. Because human wages are completely gone, those ongoing payments are entirely funded by debt, making money the ultimate inescapable toll booth on daily life. Economic power concentrates entirely in the hands of the individuals who own the servers and the assembly lines. Identical AI models and robotic infrastructure can engineer a post-scarcity utopia, or they can build an entrenched rentier state. The technology itself is completely indifferent to the outcome. You might assume that techno-feudalism is a pessimistic outlier, a worst-case scenario requiring unlikely parameters to occur. To test these outcomes, researchers ran a Monte Carlo simulation, mapping 4,000 futures across different tech speeds and policy variables. The data shows tech speed explains 29% of the outcome, while distribution policy explains 50%. How fast AI improves only dictates the timing of the transition. Who owns the AI dictates the destination. The simulation produced a sobering statistic. In 42% of the modeled futures, money never becomes irrelevant this century. Demonetization is not the default trajectory of the economy. Erasing money requires active, engineered political action to share the surplus, not just waiting for the machines to get smarter. But even if we perfectly engineer that abundance commons, there is a hidden mathematical detail in the most optimistic scenario. The money relevance index never hits absolute zero. It bottoms out around 9%. This chart shows why that 9% residue exists. It represents the irreducibly scarce core of human civilization. While the green area, the volume of reproducible manufactured goods, explodes upward, the purple line at the bottom remains rigidly flat. This rigid baseline consists of things automation cannot replicate: prime geographic locations, authentic original artwork, zero-sum social status. A robot can build 1 million identical luxury apartments for pennies, but no algorithm can copy the specific spatial coordinates of a single penthouse overlooking a sunset harbor. Furthermore, live human time and attention will remain strictly finite. You cannot factory produce an hour of a specific person's time. As our material desires are completely satiated by AI, human competition won't disappear. It will aggressively pivot toward these authentic, positional goods. Money will not die. The vast economy of reproducible things will become essentially free, but money will retreat to price the few things left that are genuinely, authentically scarce.